Imagine being frozen solid for months, your heart stopped, your blood turned to ice crystals, and then coming back to life as if nothing happened. Imagine surviving in the vacuum of space, or living without a single drop of water for decades. What if I told you that right now, as you watch this video? There are creatures on our planet that make the most extreme human survival stories look like a walk in the park. These aren't science fiction monsters or mythical beasts. They're real animals, sharing our world, pushing the very boundaries of what we thought life could endure. Today, we're going to meet 5 of nature's most incredible survivors, creatures that have cracked the code to immortality, defied death itself, and rewritten our understanding of what it means to be alive. But here's what's truly mind-blowing: these animals aren't just surviving impossible conditions, they're thriving in them. And in their extraordinary abilities, we might just find the keys to our own survival, our own evolution, and perhaps even our own mortality. Let's begin with a creature so resilient, it's been called practically indestructible. Tardigrade. Meet the tardigrade, also known as the water bear or moss piglet. At less than 1 millimeter long, this microscopic animal is quite possibly the toughest creature on Earth. And when I say tough, I mean virtually indestructible. Tardigrades can survive temperatures as low as -458 degrees Fahrenheit, just above absolute zero, where atoms barely move. They can withstand heat up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. They can endure pressure 6 times greater than what exists in the deepest ocean trenches. They can go without food or water for more than 30 years. But here's where it gets truly extraordinary: tardigrades can survive in the vacuum of space. In 2007, scientists sent them into orbit, exposed them to the deadly radiation and airless void of space for 10 days. When they returned to Earth, not only were they alive, they successfully reproduced. How do they do it? When conditions become unbearable, tardigrades enter a state called cryptobiosis. Essentially, they shut down completely. Their metabolism drops to 0.01% of normal levels. They curl up into a little ball called a ton, expel almost all water from their bodies, and wait. They can remain in this death-like state for decades, until conditions improve. Think about that for a moment. While we humans need a constant supply of oxygen, water, food, and just the right temperature to survive, these tiny creatures have mastered the art of pausing life itself. They've solved the ultimate survival puzzle: how to exist without actually living. What does this mean for us? Scientists are studying tardigrades to understand how we might preserve human organs for longer periods, protect astronauts on long space journeys, and even extend human life. These microscopic survivors might hold the key to our own resilience. Arctic ground squirrel. From the microscopic to the magnificently adaptive, let's travel to the Arctic tundra, where temperatures plummet to -80 degrees Fahrenheit, and meet the Arctic ground squirrel, nature's master of resurrection. Every winter, these remarkable rodents do something that should be impossible: they die and come back to life. Well, not exactly die, but they come so close that the difference becomes philosophical. During hibernation, an Arctic ground squirrel's body temperature drops below freezing, sometimes to 26 degrees Fahrenheit. Their heart rate slows from 200 beats per minute to just 1 beat per minute. Their breathing becomes so shallow it's barely detectable. For 8 months of the year, they exist in this death-like state. But here's the miraculous part: every few weeks during hibernation, they wake up just enough to shiver, warming their body temperature back above freezing for about 12 hours, then return to their frozen slumber. Scientists call this arousal episodes, but it's really a carefully orchestrated dance with death. Why do they do this periodic warming? Their brains need it. During the deep freeze, their neural connections begin to deteriorate. The warming periods allow their brains to repair and rebuild these connections, essentially maintaining their memories and personality while their body operates at the edge of death. This isn't just survival, it's a complete reimagining of what it means to be alive. These squirrels have mastered the art of temporary death as a survival strategy. They've learned to pause their existence, maintain their essence, and return exactly as they were. Scientists studying these creatures are revolutionizing our understanding of hypothermia, brain preservation, and even the possibility of suspended animation for humans. Imagine if we could hibernate through long space journeys, or preserve our bodies during medical emergencies. The Arctic ground squirrel is showing us it's not just possible, it's been happening in nature for millions of years. Pompeii worm. Now, let's plunge into the deepest, most hostile environment on our planet, the abyssal depths of the ocean, where hydrothermal vents spew water hot enough to melt lead. Here, in what should be a lifeless hellscape, lives one of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth, the Pompeii worm. Named after the ancient city buried by volcanic ash, these 4-inch worms live directly on the sides of hydrothermal vents, in conditions that would instantly kill almost any other complex life form. The water around them reaches temperatures of 176 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to brew tea. The pressure is crushing, over 250 times what we experience at sea level. And there's no sunlight, no oxygen as we know it, just toxic chemicals and scalding water. Yet the Pompeii worm doesn't just survive here, it thrives. But here's the truly incredible part. While the tail end of its body experiences temperatures that would cook most organisms, its head remains at a relatively cool 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Across its 4-inch body, it manages a temperature gradient of over 100 degrees. How is this possible? The Pompeii worm has formed a partnership with bacteria that live on its back, creating a kind of natural insulation. These bacteria form a white, fuzzy coating that helps regulate temperature and may even provide nutrition. It's not just survival, it's a collaborative masterpiece between two completely different forms of life. But there's something profound here that goes beyond biology. The Pompeii worm lives at the literal crossroads between life and death, between the life-giving warmth of the Earth's core and the crushing darkness of the deep sea. It exists in the most extreme gradient imaginable, maintaining its identity across impossible contradictions. This teaches us something fundamental about resilience. Sometimes survival isn't about avoiding extremes, it's about finding balance within them. The Pompeii worm shows us that life can exist not just despite extreme conditions, but because of them. It transforms what should be a hostile environment into a thriving ecosystem. Scientists studying these worms are discovering new insights into how life might exist on other planets, how we might develop better heat-resistant materials, and how organisms can create their own perfect environment even in the most impossible conditions. Desert kangaroo rat. From the crushing depths of the ocean, let's journey to another extreme, the scorching, waterless desert, where we meet perhaps the most elegant survivor of all, the desert kangaroo rat. Picture this, an animal that never drinks water. Not occasionally, not rarely, never. The desert kangaroo rat can live its entire life without ever taking a single sip of water. In environments where temperatures soar above 120 degrees Fahrenheit during the day and most other animals would die of dehydration within hours, these remarkable rodents hop through the desert as if it were paradise. How do they do it? They've essentially become living water factories. Their kidneys are so efficient they can concentrate urine to 4 times the level humans can achieve, losing almost no precious water. They extract every possible drop of moisture from their food, mainly dry seeds that contain only about 10% water. Their nasal passages are specially designed to recapture water vapor from their own breath as they exhale. But the real genius is in their behavior. They remain underground during the scorching day, emerging only at night when temperatures drop and humidity rises slightly. Their burrows aren't just hiding places, they carefully engineered humidity chambers where exhaled moisture gets trapped, creating a slightly more humid microenvironment. Think about the precision of this survival strategy. While we humans need to consume several liters of water daily just to function, the kangaroo rat has created a completely closed-loop water system within its own body. It has achieved what engineers call maximum efficiency, zero waste, perfect recycling, complete sustainability. But there's something almost philosophical about the kangaroo rat's existence. It lives in a landscape that appears barren and lifeless. Yet it has found abundance where others see only scarcity. It has learned to find life in the absence of life's most essential element. This teaches us something powerful about adaptation and perspective. The desert isn't hostile to the kangaroo rat, it's home. What appears impossible to us is simply their reality. They've redefined what it means to thrive, showing us that sometimes the secret to survival isn't changing your environment. It's changing yourself so completely that the impossible becomes possible. Immortal jellyfish. For our final creature, let's explore perhaps the most mind-bending survival adaptation of all, actual biological immortality. Meet Turritopsis dohrnii, the immortal jellyfish, the only known animal that has solved the ultimate survival challenge, death itself. When most animals face death, whether from old age, injury, disease, or starvation, they die. But the immortal jellyfish has a different strategy. It reverses its aging process and starts life over again. When stressed or injured, it can transform from its adult form back into a juvenile polyp, essentially becoming young again. This isn't just healing or regeneration, this is complete biological time reversal. Imagine if, when you faced a life-threatening situation, you could transform back into a child and start over with all your cells renewed and your biological clock reset to zero. The jellyfish achieves this through a process called transdifferentiation, where specialized adult cells transform back into stem cells and then develop into completely different types of cells. It's just like every cell in its body has the ability to become any other type of cell whenever necessary. Theoretically, this jellyfish could live forever. It has achieved biological immortality, not by avoiding death, but by making death reversible. As we've journeyed through these 5 incredible survival stories, we've seen animals that can pause life itself, die and resurrect, thrive in conditions that should be lethal, live without life's most basic necessities, and even reverse death entirely. But here's what's truly extraordinary: these aren't just amazing animal facts. These creatures are showing us new possibilities for our own survival, our own adaptation, and our own future. They're expanding our definition of what life can be and what survival means. In a world facing climate change, resource scarcity, and the challenges of space exploration, these animals aren't just inspiring, they're showing us the way forward. They prove that life doesn't just adapt to extreme conditions, it transforms them into opportunities. The next time you feel like you're facing impossible circumstances, remember the tardigrade pausing time, the Arctic squirrel dancing with death, the Pompeii worm thriving in contradiction, the kangaroo rat finding abundance in scarcity, and the immortal jellyfish defeating death itself. Perhaps the secret to survival isn't just enduring the extreme, it's learning to see the impossible as simply another way to be alive.